There we are. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday and the Rebel Roundtable. I am Jen Lee, aka Rebel Esquire, and I get to talk to really cool people about things lawyers should be doing, but maybe aren't or haven't thought about. And we did start the show in January of this year, and Imran Alavi is my first repeat guest because we had so much fun on the first round of talking about things. We didn't even get to the app development side of what his company does. And so he's back to help us, and he is the CEO of Pro Lead Soft. And they do web design, SEO, app development, AI development, and all the cool things that I like to talk about, but don't know how to do myself. So, Imran, thanks for coming back and talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jen.
Yeah, so let's for those that didn't watch the first episode, a little bit about Pro Lead Soft and what you do.
Sure, yeah. So we help businesses grow and scale through the use of software development and digital marketing solutions. Yeah, we're a 26% firm, started in 2012. My own background is in computer science and database development. So yeah, happy to be your first repeat guest.
And thanks for coming to Appy Hour, which is what I called it on the registration, was because I just thought it'd be really cool to talk about apps. First of all, not everyone thinks about building an app, but a lot of people think, oh, there should be an app for that.
Right.
Are law firms behind the trend? Like, is are apps like old news now?
So yeah, we work with a lot of law firms, especially on the SEO side, but also on the software integration side. And we do see that that's one of the industries that is a little bit far behind. And I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but there's quite a few things. There is software systems like Clio and things coming up, but they are also not 100% where they need to be.
Yeah.
So I see that the trend is that it's a little far behind.
Yeah, and I mean, I always rag on lawyers in the legal industry because they tend to be very conservative with taking risks and adopting new technologies and things. So I figure by the time we start creating apps or doing apps, everyone else has moved on to like something bigger and better. But how do you work on, like, if someone has ideas for an app, what's the process look like for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll talk about a couple of cool things coming up. And definitely want to talk about one of the software one of my friends is building who lives in Tiburon regarding the legal
Cool.
industry. So the way software development works is a very straightforward 5-step process, but all of these steps are equally important. If you even miss one of them, you can not build a successful software. So it starts off with requirement gathering, then you go to design, then you go to development, then testing, and live and maintenance. So these are the 5 steps, and some of them are parallel, some of them come before the others. For example, requirement gathering is the first thing you do, and all of them have deliverables. But if you miss even one of these 5 steps, then you're going to have issues and you're not going to be able to build a successful application.
And it seems like I've seen some that are like these generic apps that you can brand to yourself. And it doesn't seem that those are maybe as good as having an app that you actually go through those requirements and design yourself on. At least that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah, so custom software is always going to be more tailor made for your business. It's going to solve more issues. With the thing about off the shelf or SaaS products is that they only are good at some things and they're not really good at other things. So it might be good for billing or for case management for a law firm, but they'll definitely miss on some other things.
Yeah.
So to get the most common things, build a product around that, and then they're like, just figure out the rest yourself.
And that's often what we see with even just like regular software, not just apps, but other software too, is everybody wants all these custom features. And then the off the shelf product isn't customized like that. And it costs more to do the customized stuff, but it's often well worth it when it comes to time savings and long term maintenance of something, it seems like to me.
Right. Yeah. And definitely when you start seeing growth in your business, then when you start seeing a lot of these software and SaaS products fail because you're trying to grow more and you're limited. You don't have access to the code. You can only customize it up to a certain point.
So Are there any, you had said you had a couple of examples. Are there any real world apps examples in the legal space that you're aware of these days that are trying new things?
Yeah, so one of them, a lot of our clients use, we were seeing, and we look at that because we're integrating that with the website and other software. One of them is Clio.
Yep.
Clio has multiple systems. Like some of our clients use Clio Grow.
Yep.
It's good. If you use it as a kind of a CRM system, it's good. But then it also has some limitations. But that's one of the good ones we've seen
Okay.
in the industry.
And are you finding that the law firms are using those as well as the clients? So if a law firm is looking at creating an app to help clients or they want to attract clients, are you seeing anything out there like that?
No, they're still primarily focusing on their website
Okay.
and SEO and Google Ads as a mean to generate more clients or networking or referrals. I have I've not seen law firms trying to build their own applications. They're using what's out there.
Yeah.
With that being said, there's always ideas. Like there's different ideas. One of the people we know, they're building a software for IP.
Mm-hmm.
IP like a and there's AI, and one of our somebody I know, they're building an app for litigation.
Okay.
So it
Yep.
uses AI to prepare litigation cases and does a lot of the work lawyers will have to do manually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because apps used to be very, very, very expensive to build. Like you had to throw a lot of money at it. And it's becoming again, you can use some standard stuff and some customized, and the cost has come down a bit, but you still have to be willing to invest, I think, if you want to create something that's for your own firm and that kind of thing. So at least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, you definitely it's well worth it, but it is something you do and you get a lot of ROI out of it if it's done the right way.
Yeah. One thing that I've had come up quite a bit recently is law firms who do, or at least have looked at the idea of building their own app for clients for whatever reason. Either they have quizzes or information on the app, ways that they can make appointments. And there are some out of the box things out there, but they're not super customized. What do you recommend for a firm when they're trying to figure out whether something is a viable app?
Yes, a market, like if clients are asking that, hey, it would be great. So, for example, the couple of things where litigation or those kind of things take a
Yep.
lot of time, so they're using AI. We do see a shift right now, and with AI, we see a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of privacy and security concerns, and I'm sure you've heard of this person who tried to use ChatGPT to come up with a court case, and then the judge ended up disbarring them.
There's
But
tons of
that
them,
being
but yes,
said,
yeah.
there's a way, especially with AI, that you can have a custom AI model which is trained just on your
Yep.
law firm's data. So that is going to get you somewhere. So, for example, if you create a certain type of contract, you can feed into the AI, you can feed all your documents as long as it's private, and that data stays within your uh, AI model and your databases. So what that would do is that it will help you quickly come up with other contracts. So we are seeing a shift over there, like AI, and then you can open it up to other clients, like it automatically gets documents where they upload it, automatically pushes it to AI. But that being said, you still need to review everything
Yeah.
if something is wrong. So we are seeing a shift, especially in the IP world and also in the litigation defense
Yeah.
world, that people are building apps because there's not a lot of like there's no monopolies, there's no big apps, so there's always things being developed in the legal field because they're so far behind. There's still a lot of stuff that can be done.
Yeah. So that you brought up an interesting thing there that just sparked in my head. Are you seeing the merging of like app development and like AI agents where it's you're almost developing an app, but it becomes one of these agentic type AI things?
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing like AI agents. There's a lot of overlap
Yep.
in that. Agent is like if you wanted to be more proactive, come and doing things. So
Yeah.
we have worked with folks who are using, especially for document creation, or and also like writing documents, also doing some basic validations. So, example, if you're an M&A firm and you have like 30 companies you've sold. So you can upload all those documents for all those 30 companies in your AI, and that will help you with the 31st company you work with.
Got it.
But again, with that being said, privacy and security is a big concern. So
Yeah.
that's something you need to make sure you're locked down properly.
Right. Keeping things locked down and not uploading them to the public domain is probably a really important thing these days.
Exactly.
Um,
We are seeing like AI. Yes.
no, go ahead. What have you seen for the AI side?
So yeah, so that's the only concerns we have. I think that's why legal firms want to stay away from it as well, because if your client confidential information goes out to the world, that could be a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be one of the reasons why it's a little bit still there's a lot of room to grow in that area, but security and privacy we do see a big concern for law firms.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We don't want any client confidential information out there, but also the ability to build something on your own closed system now is a lot more attainable than it even was a year ago or 2 years ago. So
Exactly.
Hopefully. The big question when I'm talking to law firms, because I've looked at law firms, we've tried to do a couple where they had their own app it was a bankruptcy firm. So they had a lot of Q&A available that they could ask the app questions and things like that. And the big question always comes up is what the budget, what kind of range does it look like to build like a basic versus a totally customized app? What does that look like these days?
That's a great question. Apps, really depends on the kind of features, and they like
Yep.
be anywhere. Like a small app could be like even 10 to 20,000 and could go up like apps. I mean, just talking about generally,
Yep.
start for like millions of dollars. Like it
Yep.
really depends on what the requirements are, what the features are. But if it's just like model training, that could be just like using a model, closing it down. So it uses your data to it uses outside models data to train the model.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't train. It uses already trained data to help your model, but it doesn't use your data to train the model.
To train the model. Yeah.
That's something you have to do. But if it's just using that could be just model training, which is a little bit different from app development.
Mm-hmm.
So that's could be like on the lower end. Somebody wants to do that.
Yes. And for anyone watching, I'm not locking Imran into any pricing. When I first started looking at developing an app like 10 years ago or so, like the quotes I would get would be like $250,000, $500,000 because the technology and the automation wasn't there for it. And so it's come down a bit from there if it's a basic training one versus totally customized, all the bells and whistles, which could still run in the millions of dollars range. So yeah, I'm not trying to get Imran in trouble and have to do quotes. Yeah. Right. But I mean, pricing often comes up. That's one of the barriers is like, what's this going to cost and how do I estimate that? So that's why I wanted to bring it up a little bit. What does like a timeline look like for a typical any kind of business or law firm that wants to work with an app? They want to create it. What does their timeline look like to launch something like that?
Yeah, if something basic, like even a couple of months,
Okay.
a month or 2 months, and then if it's like something advanced and detailed, and could even take like 8 months to a year. One thing we do follow, it's called the MVP approach. So even if it's a large project, you break it down by multiple iterations, where every iteration is adding value to the product. So the first iteration would have the core set of features working, then you add more features. So you always have something you can use and get feedback on. So that MVP could develop in even like 6 to 8 weeks.
And for those who don't know what MVP is,
So that's the minimum viable product.
Okay.
All of these viable things coming up, minimum, and then you add more features and add more features as you go on. So you always have something and you're not waiting. So if it's like a large project, which is a 1 year project, you have something ready to go within 2 months, and then you have more features in 3, 4 months, and then you keep building it. That allows you to get customer feedback as well.
Yep.
Because what you think people want might not be what people actually want. So you want to get that feedback as well.
Yes. And especially if your clients are lawyers, because that's one of the biggest complaints that lawyers have about apps and software is that no one asked us what we wanted or what we could use. Sometimes things go off the rails. Um, and the MVP way of building things is really smart as long as you don't overpromise from the beginning that, oh yeah, our app does this, but that's 8 steps later. I've seen that as well, or software is promising something and it's not developed yet. So it's one of those problems. What do you see? I know technology is changing very quickly these days, and it's hard to say, but in the next, couple of years, what kind of technology, especially related to law firms, do you see being something helpful to look at? What should law firms be looking at, basically?
Yeah, so I'll give a long answer to this. So yesterday or day before yesterday, a report came out from Yale. I think Yale released it that they are not seeing any job displacement from AI yet. They're not seeing it all. But
Okay.
that's not predictive, but that's what they've seen. And I kind of believe the same thing, like it's going to make everybody's job more efficient. You will need less people to do work. So things like paralegal work, that would be easy to get to without having to go to a paralegal and
Right.
hire a lot of them. Maybe one person can do two people's jobs. So that's what I'm seeing like a lot of these data entry, paralegal, filing things that could be automated a lot more. So that would be managed by AI. But for cases, you would still need like expert attorneys to be managed. I'm not seeing any of that going away because that's something that happens in the court and people want to probably stay away. But
Yeah.
data gathering, finding issues and other people like discoveries, all of those things, that could be better done by the use of AI. So that's why I'm seeing the trend shifting, but nothing being replaced. I don't think.
Yeah. And it's interesting because what I've often discovered when we automate something with a law firm is that it doesn't reduce the head count. They
Right.
just have time to work on the stuff they should have been working on, but couldn't because they had all of this stuff
Right.
that could be automated in the workflow. So it does make people more efficient, though. I agree, and it saves tons and tons of hours of man. So I see higher level jobs available instead of minimal skill level jobs because those can be automated. So hopefully we can get people to use the higher skills.
Yeah,
Um,
data entry and stuff. I think that's going to be a little bit because, but the data entry folks can then become the next level, and they can use AI to do the data entry part. So that,
exactly. I went to a great presentation that you did a couple months ago on app development, and you walked through the whole process. What is one piece of advice that you wish everybody knew before they start an app project?
yeah. So thank you for asking. That's a great question. The things is, and that's I think the numbers might have changed, but 70 or 60 to 70% of software projects they fail.
Yep.
And the reason they fail are that people did not follow the process. They hired a developer to do a project and then it did not work out. And it should not work out because it's a 5-step process. You cannot have one person do the job of 5 people. So spend a lot of time on requirement gathering, understanding what you need to build, do some market research so you know what you're building, look at competitors before you do anything else. That's the first step. Follow the process. Once you have the requirements, then you work on design, then you work on development and testing and going live and maintenance. So if never miss any part of the process, don't try to do things with only one person like a developer because it's probably going to fail.
Right. Yep.
Process is important, and this is the standard process. It's called the SDLC. It stands for the Software Development Lifecycle.
Okay.
So do that, and
And I would like to point out that it takes time to do that. Like, if you have an idea for an app, you have to be willing to invest the time to come up with those requirements and come up with what this looks like. It can't be something you just throw at a developer and say, hey, build this, because they're experts at the development, but they're not experts at what the expertise that your app is supposed to solve. So,
yeah, one thing I did want to add. So there's this great tool we use. It's called the Moscow Matrix. It stands for must have, could have, should have, and will not have. So
okay.
if you think about if you want to build an app, you should think about it in these 4 terms. Like what are the must-have things you'd want, should have, could have, will not have. So those are how you categorize things, and that will also put a lot more clarity on your end on what you want and what you don't want.
That's a good breakdown too, because I think we get into this cycle of we want everything or we want this to be this grand project when really, if it had been better designed and better talked about at the beginning, it would be a success and not fail like 60 to 70% of them do.
Right.
Yeah. um, how does your firm, if a lawyer comes to you or a business owner, it doesn't have to be any professional, they come to you with like a napkin sketch and a dream of an app. Like, I have an idea, there should be an app for that. Do you then sit down with them and start working on the requirements? What's the initial step look like?
Yeah, we will ask them questions. That's almost all of the times. Either they already have that because we want to get them to a part where we can actually use that to
Mm-hmm.
the next steps. So we'll ask them like, why do you want? What are you envisioning? What are the types of users that will be using the app? Who are the stakeholders? What are some of the steps they would be doing? What are some of the functionality they want? Are payments going to be a part of this or not? Or is it like more, let's say if it's a law, is it case management? What is it?
Yeah.
So asking all these questions automatically builds that first set of requirements. And you're like, let's categorize it. Like, what do you want right now? What do you want later? Do you even want this thing? Why are you building it? Do you even need an app? And if you want it, like why do you want it? And a lot of time that opens up a lot of things for people. So it's a great exercise.
Yeah. And I think in my experience from what I've seen when we're building various things is that lawyers almost feel interrogated by all the questions that a developer will start throwing out there, thinking that, oh, they don't think this is a great idea. And what you're really doing is trying to nail down all those requirements so that it can be successful. But it almost feels like an interrogation where they're questioning whether it's a good idea or not. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't do it like on a call, or we'll just
Yeah.
send
Yeah.
them some questions and have them just think about it and respond. But I do understand if you're trying to do it in real time, that might look like interrogation.
Well, and it's also comes up when we do like process mapping for processes where we ask a ton of questions about things and people start thinking that we're saying they're doing it wrong when we're really just trying to understand all of the details so that we can write it up correctly and make sure that it's developed properly. So open mind when you go into setting up the requirements is really important.
Correct.
Skipping to the last part of the fifth step of your process in the maintenance and that kind of thing. I think that gets overlooked too, that it's an ongoing, especially if you have information that's being added constantly. Talk a little bit about what that maintenance step looks like.
Sure. Yeah. Once you so the go live and maintenance step is you go live, and then either you work with the app. If it's a mobile app, you work with Apple and Google and get your app published in the App Store. If it's web, then if you're hosting it, let's say on AWS, you just can go live immediately. After that, support and maintenance is usually for, let's say, if something breaks on the application or if there's a new upgrade. So if you're using a framework like Node.js, or let's say you're using Ruby on Rails or PHP, because of security and other reasons, there's always updates that are being launched in the public. Just like you get a Windows or MacBook update, those frameworks are being updated.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have somebody who's updating those, somebody who can upgrade that. And sometimes things break. When you upgrade something, it's not backward compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping all of that in mind. And also if something breaks, somebody's there to fix it for you. If you want to add more features, that can easily be added. So it's an ongoing thing where somebody is responsible for making sure your app is working and is new and updated and supported and secure and all of those things.
Yeah, I didn't want that part to get missed in the steps because it's great to create something, but then if you don't keep up and update it or have a plan for it on because lawyers who are listening and I talk about delegating all the time, it shouldn't be you, the one who's updating your app on the back end. It should be someone that you've hired to check this and make sure that it's up to date. So,
Yeah.
um, so any last words of advice for anyone looking at app or development type projects coming up?
Yeah, the first step of advice, again, don't rush into building an app. See if something that exists online and has good product reviews, use that. But
Okay.
at some point you will reach a point then you're using too much stuff and you want to build a custom app, then reach out to somebody, look at their reviews, look at if they have already delivered certain products in the past, and then make sure they follow this process. That's when you should hire somebody. And first, make sure you need an app, and then hire somebody who knows what they're doing. That would be the advice.
That's good advice. Yes, I always say some of the firms that grow too big and are using all these different things are held together by duct tape and tears. Because it's all these different things. So where can people find you at? Because you have a fantastic portfolio on your website. How can people reach out to you?
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So just, reach out to me at Imran at ProLeadSoft or just proleadsoft.com. There's contact us form. You can reach out. And if you have any questions, happy to answer for anybody who's found us from this show.
Very good. Thank you. I will put that in the show notes. And Imran does great presentations too. So if you have any groups that are looking at, they want a tech presentation that's not for engineers, but it's for people working with engineers, Imran does a great job at like presenting this life cycle, the software development life cycle that he talked about. So thank you, Imran. I really appreciate your time. And thanks for joining me for Appy Hour this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. And I will see everybody next week on